There we go. Well, welcome everyone. It is Arizona Public Lands Week of Action. Thank you for joining us for this workshop. We are gonna walk through sharing our stories for the love of public lands that we all have, how to share them effectively on social media. So yeah, we're really excited that you're here, that you're learning, and we cannot wait to see some of y'all's stories online after this workshop. Yeah, let me try to, there we go. I'll pass this over to my co-host, Rebecca.
Thanks, Anna. Hi, everyone. My name is Rebecca, and I love to volunteer outside. Good to have you all joining for this workshop today. My journey volunteering outside started in 2018 when I got to be a part of a trail reroute project on the Arizona Trail. Since that time, I've had the opportunities to work on trail maintenance events, burrowing owl relocations, invasive species pools, just a variety of outdoor projects. However, my favorite place really to volunteer is on the Arizona Trail. I just love giving back. I've learned so much about trail design and maintenance and how all of us as users impact the trail. Aside from volunteering outdoors, I love advocating for the trails here in Arizona and beyond. And with that, I had the opportunity to be part of American Hiking Society's Next Gen Trail Leader program, where I really got my foundation on trail advocacy and opportunity to participate in Hike the Hill, connect with the elected officials there, and really advocate for adequate funding for our trails, but also equitable access. And one thing I'd like for everyone to keep in mind as we go through this workshop is to keep this lens in mind. And it is, what is your why? What really resonates with you, and be really transparent with it, because that passion that you have for our public lands is what really will connect with people as they hear your story and your posts in social media.
Thanks, Rebecca. And my name is Ana Gorla, she, her pronouns, and I am the Energy and Public Lands Coordinator for the Sierra Club Grand Canyon chapter. Yeah, and a little bit about me is I've always used social media as a tool of advocacy. I've been with the Sierra Club Grand Canyon chapter for 3 years, and had the privilege of being able to work on something that I'm so passionate about, which is protecting the outdoors and motivating folks to also enjoy the outdoors. But long before that, I've also just always been passionate about protecting our environment. So on my personal time, I have tried doing like social media blogging to let folks know what's happening with like the plastic industry, how to live a more eco-friendly lifestyle, how to just love and appreciate nature. So yeah, I'm just excited to come on here and show you a little bit more of what we've been doing. I've been doing the last few years, and how hopefully you can share your story online as well. So let's talk a little bit about the Action Week and why we have this. So um, this year we've just seen so many attacks on our precious public lands, not just in Arizona, but nationwide. So a couple months ago, we, as collectively in a lot of the nonprofit world and just advocates around the US, have gone together to take actions, fight back against a lot of these attacks. We're seeing attacks on public lands in general, our national parks, our national forests. We're seeing attacks on national monuments. We have seen just news out there of some plans from the administration wanting to reduce the size of established national monuments. The ones that we've heard of here in Arizona are Bash Navajo, Itakukvini, ancestral footprints of the Grand Canyon, which was established a couple years ago. And it was I was so blessed enough to be part of that campaign. And so many folks from all over Arizona really supported this monument. So we're hoping that we can come again bipartisanly to protect it. Um, another national monument that we've heard that might be under attack is Ironwood Forest. And just a lot of our national forests in general, they're being threatened for logging right now. There's a lot of plans for drilling and mining as well. So yeah, so we're just trying to come together to, fight back, stand up, and also be with a lot of the folks that we saw a couple months ago being laid off from that work in national parks and our forest. We all know how much these things are going to impact us from enjoying these places, but also they're there to protect a lot of what we enjoy out in the outdoors. I don't know if Rebecca, you wanted to add anything to that, but I hope that was a good summary of what we had. But I'll move on to the next slide because I do want to talk a little bit of what came out of all these newses and all these attacks is we did all get together, not just here in Arizona, but we saw this nationwide uproar of activism of folks standing up for public lands and also standing up for the workers. We saw we saw a lot of stories of people sharing their favorite places. We saw a lot of trends on social media. I love the clips that we all saw going around of people sharing, their favorite trails or spots in nature with some of what we saw in the news. Like we saw that audio of, Trump saying drill, baby, drill, but people sharing these beautiful spaces that it just doesn't go hand in hand with what we want to see. We saw personal stories from some of the workers that were laid off that went viral. And I think it motivated so many of us because we connected with them on our love for nature, on their stories of how much they work to protect these places and what the results of them losing their jobs mean, not just for them personally and but what it means for the lands and the forests. So I think that was just a really good example of what we want to see to motivate people online to take action because I think from all of us seeing this, we all ended up rallying. And I think within like 2, 3 weeks, there was just hundreds of rallies around the nation. We saw them at national parks, we saw them at state capitals, we saw them at our national parks. And I think we made the news, we made noise. It can't just be our opposition who is out there making noise. And I think it worked. I feel like it slowed things down. I think while the Trump administration isn't slowing down, but I think they did kind of like have a little bit of a pause on the news. And we want to just keep the momentum going. So after the rallies, we want to keep the momentum going online and we want to continue to share these narratives. We want to keep inspiring people to take action virtually and however they can outside of rallies. Trying to see is there anything else you all would like to add to this? Why stories matter. Okay, we're gonna get more into the details in the next couple of slides. I just want to make sure I didn't leave anything out. And then I'm gonna pass it over to Rebecca.
Thanks. Yes, and to keep that momentum going, we have some examples on how you could leverage your own social media to advocate for public lands and their protections and many of the things that are coming up. One of the ways to really leverage social media is to tell your personal story and your personal connection with public lands, however that may be. In my introduction, I shared how I am really involved through volunteering outdoors and the advocacy work. So my social media is filled with those type of stories. And this is an example of one of my posts, and this was when Bhatcha Wadjoy Takubeni, Ancestral Footprints of the Grand Canyon National Monument. It wasn't a national monument yet. It was when we were calling on the president to designate it as a national monument. So I'd like to take a moment and just quickly break it down. First, I started off with a question, right? Trying to pique people's interest in this about the story. So did you hear the news? And then came the background, right? So this was an initiative that the tribes have been working on for a while. And it was now all coming to its final decision point. So giving that background and then the impact of it all, right? So it protected over 1 million acres. And then this is where my personal story comes in. I mentioned that I love the Arizona Trail. By designating this national monument, it protect actually 40 miles of the Arizona Trail. And the people that I interact with on a daily basis on social media know that about me, that I love the Arizona Trail. So that really brings it home, right? My tie to this and why they might also be interested in supporting this national monument designation. Finally, there's another question. So how do we make this national monument a reality? And then this is where the call to action comes in. And in this scenario, I linked an easy letter writing tool that was available and shared that in my bio. Another thing to know is that I did break up the text, right, with some of the emojis there to kind of make it fun and personable. But again, it all comes down to being able to tie these news stories, these advocacy opportunities with your personal story. And that was just the text, right? This was a post on Instagram, and Instagram is at the foundation, right? It's about photos. So I tried to do, or I did do a carousel post. So I used 3 different photos. The first one that was shown is one of me in the Grand Canyon. So since this was a national monument that's adjacent to the Grand Canyon and would expand the land there, I decided to include one of me backpacking. Again, shows that personal connection of myself with the Grand Canyon. The second thing that I posted, it wasn't actually a photo. This is one of those looping videos of me doing a jumping photo. So to keep things kind of lighthearted and fun. And then finally, the last photo I shared shows the beauty, right? Like the scale of the landscape. And you can take a look at the little, how tiny we are, right? In the bigger frame of things. So just 3 different photos, but I think it appeals to 3 different aspects and how we might connect with the text that was shared.
I love those.
Thanks. And then moving from the personal story and the power of that, there's also power in the call to action. Because it's one thing to talk about the news or the threats, but it really, our motivation of using social media in this type of scenarios is we want others to participate. We want others to use their voice, to engage, right? And to empower others to understand that they do have a say and they can influence others in that positive way. So for this, I'll focus on the text first. But this one was all about call to actions and 3 different ways of getting involved. So why did I include 3 different ways? One is that people are pressed for time. So one action might be for a person that it has a lot of time and they feel like they can give a lot to this movement, and others for a person that's short pressed on time. And then the other thing to keep in mind aside of time is people's comfort levels. Some are just journeying into their advocacy journey, right? Or sharing about public lands and how they can help out. So there's an assortment of people to choose for people to choose from. So the first call to action on this one is sign a petition. This was led by an organization, so I shared that petition link. The second one was actually to contact Senator Kelly. At that time, it was still quite sure the way things were going to go. So I made sure to give a little bit of background. Another senator and a representative had already committed, but Senator Kelly had not. So it was encouraging people to contact him. And finally, the third call to action is just spread the word. And this is for those people that might not feel that comfort level yet. So just by sharing this post, you could be making an impact, right? Because it'd allow others to understand and make that decision for themselves. And one thing to know about all these call to actions, I link them all in my bio, and I use a thing called Linktree. It's free, but you can share a bunch of links. You can prioritize them. You can turn them on and off. So for this one, I made sure to turn off all the other links I had and prioritize them with sign the petition went first, contact your senator second. So that way it's easy, less steps, and people are really focused and they understand what are the next steps that they could take. So aside from the text, there was a video. This one was an Instagram reel, very short, but again, it brought all the focus back on the text and the call to action.
You're gonna play this.
Hey, you never have the time, you will never have the time because time is not found, it's created.
Thanks, Anna. And that one
Hey,
was very short.
you never have the time, you will.
It is
Sorry.
very short, real. It's actually a video I took on the Salt River. But still, this was one of the trending audios at the moment. So I leveraged it for this purpose of actually taking action for public lands. And then last thing I want to touch upon is the marketing aspect of things. So with social media, something to keep in mind is that we're on it every day, multiple times a day. But just because we are on it doesn't mean that people are going to see our post or the things that we share. And something that I've learned through previous jobs and also just social media use is that there's this marketing rule of seven. People need to see something at least 7 times before they even consider what you're talking about or even consider taking action. So repetition is key. And I know when I've talked about these advocating for public lands or volunteering outdoors, sometimes I feel like I just repeat myself so many times. And I feel kind of bad. It's like I'm just talking about the same things again and again and again. But it's really important to keep this in mind, the marketing rule of seven. Folks need to see it at least 7 times. You might post, it might be in the day. They don't look at things at night. The algorithm, who knows what's happening there. So keep posting at least 7 times, more if necessary. And those that are attracted and understand the cause will just be happy to support you, right? And support the cause, most importantly, advocating for public land. So it's not like people are going to get annoyed. If anything, I think it really instills enthusiasm more for the cause and protecting public lands.
So, like we've been mentioning, we hope to inspire you to share your story right now with everything that's going on. And we did have a couple questions to kind of get you going if you're trying to think of maybe what story to tell, because when I share on social media, like I just know that everybody loves nature. Like that's just a human thing. Most of the people I hope that follow me do. And we all have stories to tell around it, but I think some people maybe their story just looks different. So I try to tell my stories in different ways. Like I live in the valley here in the Phoenix and it gets so hot. I'm like, I know that I'm not the only one who escapes the heat out into northern Arizona. And a lot of these spots that we go to are some of these places that are endangered or this summer it's going to impact us because a lot of the park rangers have been let go and it's going to impact the way we go into a stream or go camping. So there's so many different ways to tell a story that people will relate to, inspire them to take action. So just think of the ways that you connect to nature. And ask yourself, yeah, just what are those stories? Because if we have a lot, like Rebecca said, we want to be talking about this several times to really get the message out there. So maybe you want to break it down and, have like a series of posts, which is totally okay. We actually use that in some of our campaigns. We'll have video reel series when we're trying to talk about a cause because we know that the more of the content that's out there, the more likely it is that it's going to be seen. So we did prompt up some questions here for you to kind of get you started. And we also have a QR code that you can scan with your phone right now. And it's a PDF. And if you want to just get more details on how to really get into the storytelling aspect, like what is it and how to break a story down, there's a great resource there. But yeah, other than that, we have these questions here. And one of the things that you want to add in there that I think is very impactful is talk about like how these places are irreplaceable to you, because I think that's one of the narratives that's being pushed, from the Trump administration side, is that they're making it sound like public lands, like they're easily sellable, like it almost like there's plenty for everybody, but that's not the case. These places are each of them are so unique. Once they're gone, they're gone. They're not going to come back. So just another thing to notice is like, what is the narrative that's being put out there by, our opponents? And how does that go with your story? Like, how can you tell the opposite of that? How can you say, like, actually, the people are not okay with this. Like, I'm not okay with this, and this is why. Yeah, so just a couple questions to ask yourself there when writing your story. And we do have a couple of resources available for you. This is the awesome thing about a lot of what we do. Like, this is our day job. So we literally, like, anything you need, or that you have questions on, like, we're here for you. Like, we want to be seeing your stories. We want to share your story as well. So we put together a social media action kit, and we put a couple of call to actions that you can use if you don't know where to start. If, for example, I know there's a lot of outdoor influencers. Y'all are experts at sharing your beautiful visuals and videos and stories, but maybe you need a little bit of help on, like, okay, what are some actionable things that I can share with my audience? So there's a few things you can do. You can tag our senators, especially so if here in are a lot of the resources we share for those here in Arizona. We have Senator Ruben Gallego and Senator Mark Kelly, who a lot of us voted for them because we want them to be climate champions, and they know this. We meet with them, and we would love for y'all to tag them, and we'd love to give them a heads up, like, hey, by the way, a lot of our members and folks online are tagging us to really go look at these stories, because they've told us before they want to take these stories out to Congress and share them with while they're out in hearings. So they do listen, and their staff are looking out for stories. Another thing that you can, if you're trying to look for inspiration on Instagram specifically, I guess for this one, is you can look up hashtags. The one that's really trending right now is protect public lands. And and I took a screenshot here, and you can actually see a lot of visuals of posts of people who have posted call to actions and their stories on hiking, their stories on the rallies that we mentioned from a few weeks ago. So make sure to add that hashtag so that yours can be in that thread, and we can all just find each other's posts. Then we also have petitions, like Rebecca mentioned in her captions. We have 3 different petitions going on right now with our Sierra Club Grand Canyon chapter. If you want to post if your post is featured around the Grand Canyon region, so it could be the National Monument, or it can be just the Grand Canyon area in general. We do have a protect the Grand Canyon region, protecting the national monument that's there. So we have a link here. We also have a protect national monuments if your story is around national monuments. For those of us in more of the south of the state that just love the Sonoran Desert and have explored the Sonoran Desert, we also have a Sonoran Desert proposed national monument that was from the last administration, but we're still having efforts to permanently protect these areas. So we do have one if you do end up posting about the Sonoran Desert. And lastly, tag your favorite NGOs. Like, we're here again, we're here to share your story. We'd love to see you take action. So I did put our usernames down here. We have our National Sierra Club account, and we also have our local chapter. We'd love to share our local stories. There's many other organizations that we partner with, like AZ Trails Association that Rebecca volunteers with. SHESPA, Wild Arizona, there's a lot of orgs out there also sharing other folk stories. And if you scan this QR code, it's going to take you to a Google Doc where we put a lot of this information that we just presented. You can get a lot of the senators' usernames if you want to tag them. We have the links to those bit.ly links for the petition. We have a little bit of a breakdown of those questions if you want to look at those questions again. And we're going to have this recording. So if you want to share this with some of your friends, you are welcome to do that. And that kind of wraps up our our workshop. I hope that you learned something that if you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out to us. And yeah, I'm going to open it up to Rebecca or Sandy if you have any questions or anything else you'd like to add.
Thanks, Anna, for pointing us all to the resources and what's available. I would just say take a look at that and see where your comfort level and your time commitment, what's most viable for you at the moment. But I think it's just getting started, right? And really going along with this momentum that there is for the protection of public lands and advocating for them as well.
Great. Well, thanks, Rebecca and Anna. And I will just say, as someone who is not nearly as proficient on social media as the two presenters, I just would encourage people to try it and do it. And, I think you'll be surprised after posting a few times, you'll start to see more people responding. And especially if you post even a little bit of video, even just saying, hey, this is why I'm so passionate about it, and this is why I care. So I just wanted to encourage you to give it a try. I'm not an expert at this either, but I've noticed a big increase in people paying attention when I include a little video.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and that's a great point too, that you also don't have to have like a lot of followers. I think I've personally gotten the story of just like even one or two people just reply to me and like, oh, you inspired me to go hiking and now I like send you a petition. Like that's like one, that's like one extra voice that we added to the fight. So it just I don't think it matters how many followers you have or how tech savvy you are. Just share your experience and your stories, and it all adds up. It all makes a difference.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Rebecca and Anna. Great workshop, and we'll look forward to reading all those posts and hearing from you all.
Thanks. All right.